Okay, well, here we go. Oh boy, ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Hey, Vic.
Hey, oh, it's the George, man, with the fancy hair. How you doing? And, look, I gotta tell you, it's been a long time, and I know.
Vic, you called me yesterday 17 times.
So, yeah, I know, and the fact that it wasn't 22 is kind of amazing. So, look, here's the deal.
What is it, Vic?
We're coming back. Okay, so pack your bags and come on back.
Oh, God.
Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies, busy daddies, busy daddies do sci-fi.
One. I think if you don't scream, we'll be fine. The audio won't cut out.
Screaming. You called that screaming?
It was loud. It was loud and continuous. I think that's screaming.
I screaming's more of a like that could be yelling.
Does there have to
Screaming,
be anger
screaming.
to be screaming?
To use one of your terms, screaming telegraphs a different message.
I've never used that term in my life.
You used to say, remember, I'd say, you'd go, Kevin, I'm going to telegraph you a wink. And I'd say, but you're just winking at me.
No, that's typograph.
Yeah.
That's what Alexander Graham Bell invented before I have a degree in history, okay?
Would you say he used just the typograph?
Just the typograph.
Justin typograph.
Which is the parlance of the times. Parlance is a very, very complicated word, which means wink.
For jargon.
Yeah, parlance means jargon.
Parlance is a fancy word for jargon.
And jargon means
colloquialism.
Colloquialism, which then, if you're using colloquialisms, those become commonalities. Commonalities fall into folklore.
And lexicons.
But if you're screaming them, then the recording device will cut you off. So just don't do that, and we'll be fine.
You're recording this right now, aren't you?
Right now, this is quality content. This is what the people want. They want us to riff with each other. They don't so much like more than anything. The note we've gotten is, look, guys, we have very, very little interest in you talking about science fiction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a little. I'm going to use another industry term. Maybe this will foreshadow the top-notch podcast we have tonight.
It's pretty good. Foreshadowing is different from callbacks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think maybe we should just give up on the whole science fiction thing entirely. Maybe we should just.
Yeah.
What else? Let's talk about cookies.
I'm trying to think of. There is a tip and foreshadowing circumcision joke in there somewhere, but that's all I can give the listener right now.
If we, you can just give them the tip, and
yeah, and then they foreshadow it. Yeah, see, that's write that joke for us, and we'll make you the assistant to intern Tony.
Please email that to busydadsdosugaryfruits@gmail.com, which is what we're now going to be talking about instead of science fiction from now on. I can't, we have to, it has to be SF. I can't get rid of the tattoo. Oh.
Exactly. Street Fighter. Busy Daddies do Street Fighter.
We're just going to talk about a 1986 video game over and over again.
Yeah.
God, those were the days. Remember pumping quarters into video game machines and trying to like clear a game before they became just things we had in our pockets?
I do.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
What was, I was showing my son this, what was it Dragon's Lair? What was the one that had animation that came out? It was
Dragon's
like a
Lair.
video disc.
Yeah,
Dragon's Lair.
It had like a almost like King Arthur Sword in the Stone kind of style, like older Disney animation.
So I don't know about you, but I've had some time to sit around in the last 8 months and 3 weeks, and there's a YouTube video of a playthrough of Dragon's Lair, which reminds me of just how not far into that game I got.
Yeah.
I think I pumped a lot of quarters into that thing. I never got past like the falling oak barrel, like the oak floor that fell, man. And I was just like, Jesus. There was apparently some stoner in a Camaro was the king of an arcade somewhere.
What were his initials?
I don't know, but you know what I just realized? Stranger Things ruined that reference. No one will ever know that I'm OG. No one will ever know. Watch Stranger Things.
Everybody knows now. Everybody knows. The NES video game Ghosts and Goblins used to start with a pan across the entire world. And it was just a consistent reminder of how bad I was at that game, because I would always die in like the first millimeter of that map. It's known for being one of the harder NES games.
Well, there were like levels in a row.
Levels that would pan across
linked together.
It might as well have said like, "Here you go, George. This is your little tiny world."
Mm-hmm.
So, well,
yeah.
I mean, clearly this episode is about video games.
Yeah, and tiny worlds, tiny tips.
Worlds. Well, in a way, Kevin, this episode is about tiny worlds, isn't it?
And tips.
And fast piercing tips.
Yeah.
Yeah. That pierce very, very malleable, melty substances. It's getting steamy.
Yeah.
It's getting steamy in here when you
but
toss Chris Evans in
frigid.
there.
Starts out frigid.
Yeah.
You got to break that ice up.
You got to work your way into it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got to, it doesn't just come naturally. You got to put in a little effort. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, it'd be best to come at it with a plan, ideally developed by John Hurt or some other British actor. Because you really want to, once you start moving ahead, you want to bust through with the likes of, because as we all know, Ed Harris is just waiting there at the end. He's just he's gonna show up and ruin your day.
Ruin it. Dad, what are you doing here?
Whoa, what are you? Get out of here.
Sorry, this is my garage. What are you doing here?
That would be really weird. What did my father do?
Where'd that mattress come from?
Came from the end of the world.
Came from the woods in New Jersey where the teenagers hide all the porno mags.
You say that as though it's fictional. Those places
No,
exist.
it's not.
It's not.
Listener, you'll remember we've established that on this show. There are woods in areas that are neighborhoods where people hide their porno mags.
People hide porno.
And innocent bastards find them and wreck their lives.
Ruin their lives as a result of some ill-gotten porn.
Blindness is a direct result.
Certainly. Hanging out with the likes of John Hurt and coming up with plans of revolution when you should just be carrying on in your normal life. Your very normal train-bound, back of the train, filthy life. My God, it's hard.
What I was going to say is you had a pretty normal life, but the climate was getting a little out of control.
It's
so
true.
When you're about 17, some scientists try and fix it.
Yeah, they tried. And, what is it, that old saying there? The best laid plans of mice and men? Yeah. Right? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're getting pretty heavy on this one. Now, let me ask you, when it comes to science fiction, like, how do you feel with dystopian, like, end of the world? If you had to go one or the other, do you prefer humanity has shot forward on a consistent technological advancing trajectory, or do you prefer, no, we're eking out a meager existence because of our own hubris and and it's apocalyptic, or I find them both to be pretty interesting.
So Mad Max is the hubris one.
Mad Max would be the hubris one. Planet of
us.
the Apes would be the hubris one. Certainly what we're talking about tonight would be the hubris one. Yeah, and then obviously you've got most of the science fiction, especially hard sci-fi, that you ingest in literary form. 2001 would be the technological advancement one. Star Trek, those things would be more that.
Hal is awesome, by the way. I've watched 2001 recently with my son, and it was a good one. I have no preference, George. Although I think that it's always tough to watch things like dry up and get rough.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I like the romance of science fiction. Dry up and get rough. I was going to let that one go. I wasn't even going to.
No. Well, I'm trying to just get you to.
Trying
to get you in a certain place here so we can.
Trying to warm me up here. Trying to warm me up.
Yeah.
One thing we don't get a lot of in Southern California.
Yeah.
Is rain. And we also really don't get freezing temperatures.
No.
So we don't get the byproduct of rain and freezing temperatures. So I have very little opportunity to pierce some snow, is what I'm telling you.
Oh.
That's as good as it gets, man. It's probably my best segue ever.
Unlike, do you think it's your best?
That's my best one.
I knew, listener, you knew this was going to be tough for him, right? I was wondering.
It felt so natural.
It did it?
It felt like John Hurt.
I thought you were circling it
on a New Jersey mattress.
John Hurt.
I was circling it.
Yeah, just swabbing it. Yeah,
wasn't responding to my initial poke, so I had to just pierce.
Well, sometimes it hurts. First. What?
All right.
Oh.
All right. Let's recenter here, man. Who are we today?
Geez, I don't know. You tell them.
We're Bug Delicacy Delights Starving Filth, right?
Bug Delicacy Delights Starving Filth. It's delightful.
It's a delicacy made of bugs, protein. It's delicious. And what we're talking about right now is talking about Snowpiercer.
Rain Stomper,
Sun Runner.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about
Sleep Parter.
Sleep Parter. The Weatherman from Channel 5.
I thought he was in old spaghetti westerns. Sleep Parter?
No, that's his father. His father's name was Sleigh Parter. Sleigh Parter was he was known for he did a lot of like Ennio Morricone movies and good guy. But Sleep Parter did the weather on Channel 5 for like 15
grew up in
years.
Topanga.
Yeah, grew up from Topanga.
Started on KTLA, right?
Yeah, married Katie Parter, who does Good Morning America now.
Which was odd that they both had the same last name.
Yeah, well, that's why it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't take much for some people.
They were like two peas in a part.
You're a parter. I'm a parter too.
Wow.
We don't have to change our mail. I love that.
If there's one thing a seasoned listener might pick up about this is that you might be guessing that maybe George and I both really like this movie, which means we can't really get to talking about it. So we're going to beat around the snow for a bit.
Beat around the snowy bush. Now, there is some truth to the idea that if you look back at our vast, decades-long library of Busy Dads Do Sci-Fi episodes, some of the ones where we both enjoyed what we were talking about, well, those were the ones where maybe once in a while we'd suggest, like, maybe take a walk while you're listening to this one. maybe pick up a book too. But not this one, Kevin. We're gonna I have a feeling we're gonna turn the whole thing around this time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
how?
Bong Joon-ho is the director of this movie. His first name is Bong. I mean, that's funny.
By the way, remember Vic said we can't touch shit like this anymore.
Oh, can't say Bong. Or Joon-ho.
We can't.
Can we not?
You can't Bong Ju or Ho.
I can't Bong Joon-ho? Is this because of how sensitive we've all gotten in the last 8 months because of all the people that have been dying? Is this
that? Yes.
Yes. Well,
exactly.
All right, now here
Rick is a racist scumbag, but he funds us.
Hey, come on.
He's trying to change his image.
Yeah, he's trying. Now, are these types of movies still entertaining? We watched them and we were able to go, yeah, still a damn good movie. But do you think that this is something that people in general would want to see right now because of all the sort of misery and turmoil that's going on in the world? Or is everybody just punching in on Story of Us and Queen's Gambit and stuff like that,
Queen's Gambit. Story of Us. I think it depends. There's definitely something to be said for having it light and distracting. But I think those people spend way too much time on Instagram.
This is a dark movie. It's kind of bleak. Now, do you want to set up the world?
Yeah. 2014, we got climate change and we got it bad. Some would say as bad as a 12-year-old who hasn't started to use deodorant yet. And it's stanky. But some scientists come up with something called CW7. It's going to be sprayed in the atmosphere, and it's going to knock the temperature of the planet down a couple of degrees. And in a great burst of kind of crackly news reports, and then some shots of some 747s letting off stuff into the atmosphere, we find that, whoops, a little too much salt in the soup, and it's ruined. And we have Arctic age,
deep freeze,
and it
quickly
kills most of the humans. Meanwhile, there's a pioneering inventor who linked all the railroads together for the purpose of vacation and made this great train that's deluxe to the T. And it's right in time and acts as the arc for an amount of people, which I realize I don't really know, but several hundred per at the top.
Yeah.
And it's an closed ecosystem, and it takes 1 year for it to get around the globe. And it races over the icy tracks. And a society complete with class systems from steerage to the captain's table, George. This thing is spread out. And that's the world. We've got some people in there that are in the dregs, and they don't like it, but they are oppressed.
Humanity essentially now exists as a couple hundred people on a train. Not just humanity, you get the sense of all life has been extinguished on Earth, and that's the sense we get. And we are tossed into the birth of the latest revolution by the steerage class, who are the poorest. Now, one thing that I was wondering while watching this was if there were any actual vocations that determined the class, or if this was literally like the Titanic and you bought your ticket at a certain caste system and that's just how you were. Did anyone have jobs? Were there things that determined, it didn't seem that way. It seemed just very much like this is just how it is now. You are either born into the lower class or you're born into the higher class. The higher class enjoy fine dining and their children go to school, little brats that they are.
Mm-hmm.
And all of this kind of plays out through the journey of this revolution from the rear car, which is, the steerage class, the lowest class, through as they're trying to take the engine at the front of the train. And we get to sort of experience all the absurdity and the wonderful characters that come to life through the course of this movie. And it is, it's just a hell of a ride. It's really cool. It's really dark, and it's clever as hell, is the thing that I think more than anything else is it's and kind of fresh, kind of a cool, fresh story.
Yeah, it came out. Did it come out also in 2014, or was it 2012 maybe or something?
It was 2014. No, yeah,
right. So, but the point of the matter being, I was wondering if it was still going to be fresh, and it was cool. This film was actually vetoed by our third member back in the day, Adam, who said it was going to be enjoyed by way too many people,
right?
And we shouldn't talk about it.
Yeah.
That's back when we were doing micro sci-fi and.
We were cutting edge. We were cutting edge. We were doing very experimental stuff with the medium. Adam would have us show up in leather chaps, despite nobody being able to see us, and it was
That was I guess apocalyptic he was going for, but it got weird.
He had a theme with each episode.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Adam suggested this, and then it was quickly dismissed with the idea that no, way too many people are going to like this. It's too accessible. It's got Chris Evans in the lead, for crying out loud, and he's like America's sweetheart now,
which is cool. It's funny. I've come to enjoy him as Captain America, and I liked him more. He was just a dude when I saw this in 2014 because I'm not up to snuff. But now being more up on the Marvel stuff, I was like, it's kind of cool to see him doing this. It added a gravitas, perhaps.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's been in a couple smaller things that he was in Sunshine, and he was great in that.
We should ask Vic if we can talk about that one.
I think Vic has a big anti-Danny Boyle thing going. I think British in general. He's just he's still
anti-Danny.
He's anti-Danny, but he's got kind of a layer, he's still kind of fighting the Revolutionary War in his head. He talks about how they burnt the White House in 1812 and everything, and guy can hold a grudge.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll try and get it on the docket. Stranger things have happened. Stranger
things did happen.
Did happen
in our first volume.
Different podcast, Vol 1.
Mm-hmm. Vol 1.
But I was watching it and I was like, all right, okay, so Snowpiercer, and it took me back a bit. It's such a literal title because it's like the train is a snowpiercer, and there's also some metaphor there. They're all living this life on this train and everything. It just reminded me. I'll say that it worked, but it reminded me of sort of like a 1940s serial, cheesy B movie title, and it's weird because I'm kind of hard pressed to come up with an alternate title for it, but for some reason Snowpiercer just seemed to, I don't know.
Well, I don't have a context for the 1940s thing. I wasn't alive then, George, so it was different for me.
No, but you've probably seen Citizen Kane, so that really doesn't matter.
Citizen Piercer. It's just bizarre enough.
Mr. Snow goes to Washington. Yes.
It makes total sense to me, and perhaps only anchored in the fact that it was a manga first.
All right, so there it was a graphic novel. Yeah, that's actually.
Oh, is it manga? Is it true? It's just a graphic novel.
I'm pretty sure it was just a graphic novel, not technically manga, which I'd been saying is magna for years.
I don't really know.
Dead wrong. It's manga.
It's manga.
It's manga. Manga.
Is it an ang or an ong?
It's an ong. It's a manga. Manga.
Whatever. I think because I think the graphic novel catches it for me. But anyway, I don't know. It'd be funny to think what it would be named. What else could it be named?
Oh boy, the Everett Revolt. You know,
What
like the Everett Revolt. You know what Ed Harris calls it at the end, the Revolt of the Seven. You know, like there's Wilford's Diaries. You know, like it's so Wilford is this sort of Big Brother-ish character who designed the train, and his name is sort of stamped all over the place. And they know that they are on a quest to confront this Wilford, who runs the train, sits at the head of the table, and everything like that. On the way there, we're given a couple different representatives of Wilford's will, and they're all different levels of like they took a little bit of the upper class creepiness and applied it to fantastic actors like Tilda Swinton. Is just like, this movie would not have been the same without her character, without her in it. She is heavily made up as a slightly elderly character with bad teeth, and she's just sort of doing like a caricature, but also not really. I believed her performance, you know, like I didn't believe like, oh, this is so over the top or anything like that. It came across as just kind of grimy and gross, you know.
It was real awesome.
Real awesome.
It's totally cool to watch. Again, I know this is what makes you guys really want to hear the podcast. George, you think it's awesome? Yeah. Kev, you think it's awesome? So awesome.
So awesome. You know what wasn't awesome?
What?
That cryogenically frozen security dude.
What?
Like the dude.
Okay.
I don't know.
Jung Ho.
Yeah, he was hammy.
I don't think so. So along the way. So by the way, if you have guys with machine guns pointing them at you and counting you in when you're in the poor people seats, you're not really going to get through like the first metal door, let alone the next 26 or so to get all the way up to Wilford's cabin.
Which, by the way, real quick, that scene when Chris Evans, like this movie is punctuated by scenes that transcended into something better. Like that scene when he walks up to the guard, puts the barrel on his head and pulls the trigger, having faith that bullets do not exist in this world anymore.
Right.
Is brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant.
It was totally cool.
Yeah.
And so in Tilda Swinton, in the non-caricature style, she gives away these clues, and she yells at one of the guards because she's so cracked out on the Wilford thing that like she loves like the role of the poor, and lashes out at the guard for like trying to hit one with the butt of a rifle. And she says, "Put that useless gun away." And the guys who were planning this revolt get the hint. Maybe there's no bullets. They shot them all in the last rebellion. Anyhow, she plays a great little role and freezes the dude's arm off, which is amazing. The guy throws a shoe, hits her in the head, and they put a collar on his arm, stick it out the window of the train that's in the Arctic, and time it for 7 minutes while she gives a speech. And it comes back in solid, and they smash it with a hammer. And it's amazing to have that actor like makes some faces and then just kind of numbs out and fades, and that's completely creepy to think about.
And so we get, as we're going through the train, they require the assistance of somebody that they know is in the prisoner area, and he is a drug addict security expert who wired the doors for the rest of this train. So they liberate him and his daughter, and there is this industrial waste substance that he's essentially working for. His presence, while necessary and still cool, it seemed to me like at times they were trying to sell him as like a bit of like the old wise man, and that didn't land for me. It didn't land for me. I did enjoy all of his callbacks towards the end, when we get like the snippets of why he believes that this world is not as doomed as everyone seems to think it is, like that was fantastic and all came together. I don't know. There was just something about his presence that kind of, it got under my skin a little bit, you know, it kind of bugged me.
I didn't. I thought that was well played.
I loved his daughter.
He wasn't very sagey. He was just kind of pissed and ornery.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard to tell though. See, I remembered his role because Cronol, though it'll get you high, is also entirely flammable.
Right.
And so he's playing up for each door he opens, he gets a chunk of Cronol for he and his daughter. All right. And so they just say Cronol and they open the doors as they go through this train. But I don't know. I think knowing what I knew, he was way much cooler. He was smarter. I don't think he got high as much.
Well, then that even it does make
he kind of knew the whole time what he was going to do.
Yeah, because then it does make some of the more annoying bits, like him stealing all the Cronol from the rave car. It does make it make a bit more sense that he had an ultimate plan. You know.
Well, and so Austin, you know, him lying in wait. He was given an opportunity that he had hatched, which was to get out of the train. Right. And so in a way, their revolt, which the punchline is that it was all premeditated, everyone was a pawn. He's the only thing that's unplanned.
So the John Hurt, who plays sort of the ringleader of the revolt, is the counterbalance to Wilford. And John Hurt has almost like, it looks like a leg of an aluminum table for a missing leg, and he's got an umbrella for an arm. You know, he is missing his arm and his leg, and he has the like the hook. His hook hand is a wooden umbrella hook. It's fantastic. And I love John Hurt to begin with, but the kind of punchline when we get to the car and we start to talk to Wilford is that this entire thing, because this is a closed ecosystem, there exists nothing outside. They have to manufacture evolution, essentially. So they have to kind of always counterbalance and stage revolts so that they can then peel back both the upper class and the lower class to more manageable levels. And that's just, you know, Chris Evans essentially just played a pawn in that revolt. Like he was just the latest to do that. And there were some things that got a little out of hand and were unplanned. Initially, it was supposed to stop at a certain point, and they decided
74%.
And they decided to just kind of keep pushing ahead. But there's so many, and in that, you know, the sushi chef in the, you know, just the little things that you're just like, they're not just eking out like a meager survival here. Your quality of life entirely depends on whether, like, from one car to another, whether you are eating ground up bugs in gelatinous form, like the steerage class is, or you're enjoying sushi and a quality education. The teacher in the school, the classroom, is absolutely amazing. You know, like she does a little bit where she's playing the piano and singing a song that's in praise of Wilford, and her eyes do this weird trancy flutter, and it's fucking great.
That's what's also very cool is that the each car they break out of their steerage into a prison car. They go through the food processing car, and then they start working into these other elements, which are really awesome because you're wondering, how would you keep this always running train moving with its society. And so there's a water purifying car, a garden car, an aquarium car, where you get your sushi from. There's a school car. There's a rave car, a party car, a bar car, a dining car. But there's a great battle in the middle of this. And so remember, we mentioned that this train travels around the world in the time it takes for 1 year to go by. And so they pass a marker where they'll know, that's where you'd know your New Year's party was. But
right. And you could pretty much encapsulate like the entire attitude of the movie in that car where that axe fight happens. You know, I felt like it was the mix of the direness, the comedy, the mission, all in one, 10-minute sequence.
Well, and it's cool too, because the daughter of the security expert has some type of future prediction, some sort of sight or something. And so she's been naming what's behind the door, like it's all clear or whatever. And she stands in front of the door before this confrontation, and she says, "Don't open it." And of course, he's just opened the door, and there's 80 dudes in like black masks that are with their mouths revealed, almost like they look like I think it's a carnifex, an executioner's hood.
Yeah, they look like executioners,
and
with axes,
with axes and pikes and stuff. And these two groups run at each other. In the middle of that, New Year's hits.
Like with a 10-second, like they hit the point in geography where it's about to be New Year's, and there's a 10-second countdown, and it's fucking great.
And they all pause. They've all been on the train for 17 years at the most. If you're younger than 17, you were born on the train. Mm-hmm. So it's just ingrained. Also, at that part in the geography on the tracks is a bunch of ice floes. So in the middle of the fight, they all have to brace. So these ice flows, the train goes through every year. And no matter who you are, whether you're the richest of the rich or the filthiest of the filthy, you've got to brace for what might be the impact that this time knocks you off the tracks itself, and you all die.
Right.
So
yeah,
this fight happens. It pauses. They go through the New Year's, and then one of the coolest things ever, all the thugs in their masks drop down night vision goggles, and they say, "There's a tunnel that happens after the New Year's point, and it's a long-ass
one.
And the lights go out, and the night vision dudes with axes just start destroying our revolutionaries. And that's just, it's awesome.
I mean, it's an
axe fight. I mean,
it's an axe fight, and then the steerage class comes running in with torches to both like blind their night vision and everything, and it's just a slice of the coolness of this flick, that we're given this middle of the car axe fight, and then it's carry on and business as usual once they go, and we get introduced to really great characters who we see get disposed of, and essentially what happens is, as we're working towards this whole thing, we are, I like Ed Harris a lot. There's very, very few things where I'm like, oh, this movie suffered as a result of Ed Harris being in. Right. So for him to show up in like essentially a 10-minute cameo as Wilford, I thought was just a really, really nice cap to the whole deal. And we're kind of delivered with the punchline, which is this whole thing was orchestrated. Also, Chris Evans, I am getting old and I need you to replace me. And then the culmination of the security expert's plan, And what I really liked was there's callbacks to him realizing that the ice outside is melting and has been, and that it's possible that this world is no longer uninhabitable. He has seen things, the little snowflake drifting in, and it's a very, very nice touch.
Well, yeah, so there's the couple details that really make that work. There was a revolt of the Seven, and there's a point on the tracks around the Earth where you can look out and see the frozen Seven, maybe a quarter mile from the train, and that's as far as they got in the icy snow. The lesson learned is we never leave, or you're a popsicle.
And that was 10 years previous, correct?
Right.
Like that was, yeah.
Then there's a plane that had crashed that the security expert 10 years ago saw only the tail exposed, but on this pass saw almost the full body of the plane.
Yeah.
Not to mention, one of the people he was tight with was an Eskimo who taught him the thousands of different types of snow and stuff. So this snowflake that George just mentioned cues him to the fact that we are in melting snow.
Yeah, yeah. That this is the type of snow that melts,
Right. So he's the only thing that's not pre-scripted in the story. Now that I think about it, I'd forgotten all this stuff, so it's all sort of fresh to me now.
Yeah, that's a really good point, is that he is sort of the only one who's working towards his own agenda, and he is kind of the wild card in the entire deal. So they get to a point where they are at the end, and we find out he has been hoarding all this narcotic to make a bomb to get outside. Like, he's just done. He's done with living on this train, and he thinks that it's possible for humanity to exist outside of it at this point. And that's before we even get the interactions with Chris Evans' character and Wilford, in which we are treated to just this sort of like overall metaphor for, that we are not necessarily just passengers on this train. We are part of this train itself. Everybody has their place in it. Everyone has their thing. There's this continuing mechanical motion that a couple different characters do with their hands that's symbolic of the train and the machine that we all are in general. Tilda Swinton does it. Ed Harris's Wilford does it later on. And it's one of those things that's just like another moment that sort of elevates this film. It's a simple thing that just kind of puts another layer on top of what is already a pretty good story. And then we get an ending that, I gotta say, it's a good ending. Like, it is. It's very appropriate, but there's a part of me that, even though this is a genuine reaction, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for me, and mainly, I mean, a lot of it does have to do with how many people die, and people you don't want to die. But they die well, like that. The embrace between the security expert and Chris Evans as they hug his daughter and the child that they've rescued, to shield them from an explosion. Like, that stuff's great. It's fantastic.
And there's the ending happens quickly. It makes you think something else could have happened.
Yeah.
And as I start to think of it, the big giant clump of Cronol does get lit. It blows the side door open, and as that happens, the four protagonists, Curtis, who's Chris Evans' character, a little boy who's been rescued, the security expert and his daughter all embrace, and Ed Harris, Wilford, who's still eating a snake, goes, "Nice." Like great, your human emotions are really nice. And there's something that's a little hard to believe. Earlier in the movie, some kids get measured and taken away horribly. They get taken out of steerage. It's kind of clear it's a bad thing that's going to happen for them. You don't know whether people eat them or not. But it turns out they're small enough to fit in the parts of the engine. to work on it with parts that have blown out and can no longer be reproduced, as this train is always in motion. And although it was completely in character that Wilford would be so calloused that these few kids would be used to keep the train running so that others could be served, obviously I'm human. It's hard to believe that you'd get there, even with the blatant orchestration of wasting grown passengers.
Yeah.
It's just, but it has to happen. It's a great reveal. Two kids at least are keeping this train actually moving because like a lever's blown out, and all the kid does is sit and pull a lever.
Yeah, I mean, it actually felt slightly unnecessary. Like I felt like you could have gotten to the A to B without injecting that.
Right.
And it just provided a little bit more motivation for Chris Evans to not embrace the role of the new Wilford. It's now, there are children underneath here.
Well, and I think he actually was embracing it. He actually pushes back someone he's been working with, but the kids show up and it snaps him out of his brokenness. He's so broke that this was a scam, a contrived power switch to put him in the captain's chair, so to speak.
Which occurs in an incredible, maybe 30-second scene with Chris Evans standing in the middle of the engine, alone, and Wilford makes a habit of makes a point to say to him, "When's the last time you were alone?" He just lets him be alone, and he breaks down, and in that moment becomes Wilford to be brought back.
He's like, "All right, I guess I'll do it."
Yeah.
But the train blows up. It tips over. Tons of cars just fall right off the cliff. And security expert's daughter, we know is 17, and the 5-year-old boy are the only people we are allowed to know have lived. Maybe others have, don't know. Maybe that's what whoever's doing Snowpiercer, the show, will tell us.
The pierciest.
Well, first of all, Snowpiercer, the show, it's like, okay, so you're going to retell the movie and then what? Like, we all lived on the planet. We're from Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
It's like, man?
I could see it getting a lot like
point,
Battlestar Galactica, where they get really into, like, I'm sure there's multiple characters in the steerage and multiple characters in the upper class. And they just sort of build on like the drama of, we're all on this snow piercing pierce machine. Damn it!
And at that point, it could be if they leave the train, then you might as well just say, let's take apocalyptic people and make them survive somewhere. I mean, what's the point at that point? I don't know. I don't know. You tell me. I mean, does The Walking Dead still work, or did it just write itself into weirdness?
The Walking Dead hasn't worked for a long time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Okay, that would be my hunch.
You just run out of things to do with that type of storyline. And so what we get at the end of this movie is a man and a woman walking into a maybe not inhospitable situation, and the last shot of the movie is a very alive polar bear in what was thought to be completely unsurvivable conditions. And if this were a cheesy movie from the 70s, we would then discover that this was actually Adam and Eve. That, we would flash ahead, and there'd be like, and his name was Adam, and her name was Eve. It would be one of those things.
Which, boy, if that's not foreshadowing of some other stuff we got to talk about. But little Adam, regular old Eve.
Regular old Eve.
Mm-hmm.
17-year-old and a 5-year-old repopulating the world.
Yeah. One. Yeah.
Not anymore.
Nope. Not anymore.
Yeah.
That was pre-COVID, man.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, we could have said there were so many jokes written for this segment.
We spent months.
Vic said you can't do that anymore.
Can't do that anymore, guys. All right, we're sensitive now,
and rightly so.
We care about every human being,
all human beings,
Adam and Eve alike.
He wanted us to say all human beings. He thought every sounded pat.
Yeah, all
human beings,
all living things.
Polar bears,
not just human beings. I'm not humanist, you know.
Yeah. However you identify.
It's fine. If you're a VCR, I don't even care.
Yep. If you're a VCR that's a toaster, talk to me. I did try and figure out how to build one of those, and it never happened.
Those were dark days.
Well, it was better than eating those cockroach protein bars.
Was it though?
I don't know, dude.
Those looked grape flavored and sometimes a little delicious.
So, by the way, when it's bad, it's bad. But when the two of you who have been eating those things for 17 years look at each other and say, "We must tell no one," it's real bad.
It's real bad. It's real.
And of course,
real bad.
Because the steerage people have broken into the food production room, as two people look into the vat of tumbling bugs that get ground up, everyone else is like, "Hell yeah, more than one."
They're having there's a feeding frenzy of protein blocks.
Yeah.
I would have thought that they'd be done with them by now, but and which is funny because when it comes time for sushi, they've all got incredible table manners.
Right, but they do make Tilda Sweeney eat a cockroach.
They make Tilda Sweeney eat a cockroach bar. I thought the reveal was going to be people. It's people. And so I was actually kind of like, oh, okay, it's bugs. I've had bugs.
Well, I mean, there's, they're
poor bugs.
It's a predicted avenue of all bugs. All bugs.
Yeah, that's true. All bugs are not created equal.
Yeah. Hey.
We don't care about bugs anymore.
No way.
No. Get out of here.
But that could be a way that we produce a large amount of protein if we don't think about climate change, George.
I think about it all the time. I can't wait. I can't wait to be on that Snowpiercer. I'm going right to the front, Kevin.
Well, and so oddly enough, the steerage people are like running to a train and get on, and I guess they needed enough of those people. But it's what we don't know is like where were you when that train launched and how that all went down. But
was this a quick? I'm imagining it was a quick freeze, right? Like they dropped the chemical and it was just like, oh, stuff's going down and let's get on the train. There's a moment at the end when Chris Evans breaks down and is talking about initially getting on the train and the chaos that ensued, and that there was cannibalism. There's a tough line where he says, I hate that I know what people taste like. That's the thing that he knows he hates the most about himself, and that he hates that he knows that babies are the best.
Babies taste
best. And that is like it just could have been written better, but it's still a tough, I felt that,
Yes, but it kept me out of the moment.
Oh, did it? It took you out completely.
I obviously knew what it was getting at, but I don't think, similar to I don't think Wilford would use children. I don't think he didn't need to say that.
Yeah, you didn't believe it.
That guy who was telling it to understood.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And it was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Baby tastes best.
Baby tastes best.
Baby tastes best.
I'm going to get a t-shirt with that on it.
Mm-hmm.
Baby tastes best.
I want to make a t-shirt that says, I'd rather be grave robbing. I think that'd be amazing, dude.
I'd love that.
Yeah.
I'd wear that. and we'd get the strangest looks. Well, nowadays, actually, I think there's a lot of people that would rather be grave robbing.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, Snowpiercer, just I mean, I'm interested enough where I might check out the series, but
yeah,
I don't know. We'll see. And it was just a damn good movie.
So hopefully this is a damn good podcast.
No.
Nothing like a great love fest to ruin a podcast.
We the couple episodes in, we're already done again. Yeah, let's just take another 18 months off.
We signed an 18-month contract.
Damn.
Actually. Yeah.
All right. So whether we like it or not, we're cranking these out. What are we going to watch next? How about something that we really, really like? What do you want to do? Do you want to do 2001? Oh, that'll be great.
Oh, riveting.
Ooh.
Riveting.
Guys, oh my gosh, it's visionary. Didn't you love it, Kevin? Oh, Hal is so great. You know, what else? Maybe a little Tarkovsky again. We can really enjoy ourselves.
I think so.
Put the people to sleep.
Well, listener, if you have any ideas of what you'd like us to watch and talk about, email, what is it? Busy Daddies do street fighting or strange fruit?
Busy Dads do sugary fructose. No, Busy Dads do sci-fi at gmail.com. If you disagree with us completely and you thought that this movie was a huge pile of ground up insect protein bar, feel free to tell us,
Yeah.
We are
feel free to take a bag of shit, light it on fire on George's porch and ring his doorbell.
I don't have a doorbell. You'd have to knock the door, and I don't think you're brave enough to do that.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Not to mention,
bring it out. I'm not afraid of Patrick Rothfuss. I'm not afraid of you guys.
Yeah.
He's been leaving us alone. I kind of like. He could be in rehab.
Well, I mean, I think he got sober, man. He might be actually, putting his life back together.
Good for him.
It was rumored he showed up in the COVID rumors by the book 3 of the King Killer Chronicle would come out this fall. It's November.
So then he quote unquote got COVID. Like, guys got COVID, can't get to the typewriter.
Yeah, and he's had COVID for like 12 years. They also call that the fentanyl flu, but I don't want to start any rumors.
I think you just did. We do not go easy on Patrick Rothfuss.
There's fans that want to kill him.
He's out there somewhere, just like his ears are burning right now, and he's just like, oh, Busy Dads again.
Yeah. So if you know Patrick Rothfuss, let him know
to stop putting sugar in my gas tank.
And no, we don't stomp on flaming bags on our porches. Would you? Ding dong! Oh wow, there's a flaming bag on my porch.
Better.
I mean, I guess if you haven't seen Back to the Future, you might stomp on it. Right? Like, yeah.
Well, kids are going to be kids. And so we're, over 40-year-old men doing podcasts.
I was going to say, podcasts are going to be podcasts. Someone should stomp the shit out of this thing. Oh. Write us, listener. We'd love to know. We're even, if you got some challenge you want to come up with, we'll even do something like that.
Oh, absolutely. Like what? Yeah. Like a pie eating contest?
That, who can grow the biggest mustache or something?
Biggest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little Adam. And
Little Adam. Little Adam and yep. Nope.
All right. Well, nope. And as always, you can address a letter to us, number 4, Dirty Mattress, New Jersey Woods.
New Jersey Woods. Yeah.
I'll swing by and pick them up with my my haul of old stuck together Playboys.
Yep.
Classic.
Rain soaked though. That's rain.
It's rain. It's
rain
not
soaked.
Nothing else.
It's not.
Come on.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
This is usually when I have to say something like "Good night, nurse."
Good night,
or
nurse.
It just gets bad. Good night, nurse.
Gets.
Oh, well, it's over. Okay, well, that was kind of a fast adventure, I guess. You know, you can learn more about the boys and maybe even about producer Vic by going over to busydadsdosci-fi.com. And you can also subscribe to us. We're on the Apple Podcast and the Google Podcast and maybe even the Alta Vista podcast and the Ask Jeeves podcast. I don't know if those are things, but I'm assuming they are. We're also on the Spotify if you want to follow us there. Kind of amazing to get a sci-fi deal on the Spotify. So keep on coming back. New episodes are released all the time. And if you don't, I know where you live because I'm really, really good at the computer stuff. If you want, you can also send us an electronic mail at busydadsdosci-fi@gmail.com. And maybe one of you guys can tell producer Vic here what sci-fi means. I don't know. I got an idea, but I don't really know. All right. Bye.